What's up, guys? I just finished reading Queen of Shadows by Sarah J. Maas, which is the fifth installment of the Throne of Glass series. The Throne of Glass series being an epic fantasy by Sarah J. Maas that I've thoroughly enjoyed so far, but I have to say that this book is probably the best one of the series that I've read to this point. I feel like it is the best executed. I think it's very well thought out. I feel like the narrative and the pacing is really, really well done, and honestly, I was thoroughly impressed. One of my favorite aspects of the story is the growth of our main protagonist, Helena Sardothian. I have tended to find her annoying in some of the other books, but I think at this point in the story, you have a really good understanding of why she is the way she is, and at the same time, you really experience a lot of growth with her as a character as she grows into her identity. I think another aspect of that is how we get to see other characters around Selena really come to terms with the fact that who they think Selena is and who she actually is are very different. And they really have to accept who she's become in the time that they've known her or the time that they've been away from her. Characters like Rowan, Prince Adian, even Kale, they all have this idea of Selena in their head. And I think every reader comes into the story with this idea of who she is. And in reality, as we go through Queen of Shadows, we really learn that there's so much that she has been through and so much that she has to do that has really shaped the aspect of her that each of these individuals know. And through this story, they come to the realization that I don't think they fully understand the character that they're so invested in, and even that we're so invested in. And so I thought that was a really cool aspect, and the narrative arc of that whole journey through this story really highlighted all the action packed cinematic moments that take place in the story. Another aspect of the story I love is that the ensemble cast that we've been developing over these past four books is really starting to come together. And right before this, I actually read the prequel, which was kind of a drag for me because there weren't really a lot of characters I cared about in that story. But the payoff of reading that prequel before this book was truly incredible and well worth it. I thought that the big moments really lived up to the expectations for me. I was so excited about the third act of this book. Overall, I think this is probably the best written book and the best executed book by Sarah J. Maas so far, and I'm really excited to see where she goes with the rest of this series. I think the plot of this story has really sprawled in a way that is very intriguing, and I find myself heavily invested in what's going to happen next. If you haven't read fantasy before, I think this is a really great entryway into the genre. It's got a lot of the fantasy elements that you can expect while being a very accessible story at the same time. If you are turned away from Sarah J. Maas just because she's been highlighted as more romantasy, I will say that the romantic elements of the story aren't really the priority in the narrative, really in the same way that we see romantic storylines in Brandon Sanderson books, George R. Martin. Those relationships are there, but they are not the main focus point of the plot. They just kind of have a way of connecting the characters. And overall, I just think it's pretty enjoyable. So, highly recommend it. If you've read Queen of Shadows or any of the Throne of Glass books, let me know what you think in the comments. And if you have any recommendations like them, I'd be happy to hear them. Happy reading.